Goes into his conclusion. In his conclusion, he says, "What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him, more than all other days in the year, the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham, your boasted liberty an unholy license, your national greatness swelling vanity. Your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your denunciation of tyrants, fast-fronted impudence. Your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery. Your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgiving, with all your religious parade and solemnity are to him mere bombast fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy, a thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages." So what he does here is he's shocking the Congress and the President. Here it's the 4th of July, and he's gone on about how great it is that we're celebrating our country's freedom from Britain. And then he goes and basically slaps them all in the face when he uses his repetition of how you can see the structure is what the normal American thinks of the 4th of July, and then he goes into what a slave feels, and he does it over and over and over again, and beats it into these people that slavery is wrong and needs to be abolished. Now, he didn't give a solution. He didn't call for the Congress to act and make it illegal. What he did is he basically put them down. He wanted to let them know everything that was going on. So now we're going to move to Connor, who's going to tell us why Frederick Douglass inspires us as a public speaker.
Frederick Douglass had many influences in his life for his speaking ability. According to PBS.org, Douglass spoke about his life as a slave, which he gave in his speech on the 4th of July to Congress and the President. He was the leading spokesman for the abolition of slavery and for racial equality. When he was sent to Baltimore, he worked for a ship carpenter named Hugh All, and that's where he learned to read. He educated himself, to better himself, because he wanted to learn. That's where he learned how to speak, read and write and all that. Then, when he went to Baltimore, he later said that laid the foundation for him. That's like, it opened a gateway to all his subsequent prosperity. And then he went to Baltimore. He was later hired out as a farmhand, the brutal slave owner. He was whipped for 7 years. That kind of gave him inspiration. Hey, slavery's wrong. And this, he was like, he spoke about it. Getting beaten every day, barely being fed. He just kind of hit that breaking point where he's like, this is wrong. And he kind of elaborated that in his 4th of July speech. He was always striving to educate himself, and he was always reading. He joined various organizations, such as the New Bedford Black Church, and he attended abolitionist meetings. He subscribed to William Lloyd Garrison's weekly journal, The Liberator. In 1841, he saw Garrison speak at the Bristol Anti-Slavery Society's annual meeting. Douglass is inspired by the great speaker William Lloyd Garrison. Garrison was impressed with Douglass and mentioned him as Liberator several days later. Douglass gave a speech at Massachusetts in Nantucket, and it was an anti-slavery speech. So he was kind of like, later on he became more different from Garrison's ideas, because Garrison was more like against the government. He thought he just a little out there, he was just a little more radical. Douglass wanted to keep more down to earth. In conclusion, Douglass grew up as a slave and later became one of the most influential speakers of all time. From all his experiences being a slave, just helped better the world. From being in Baltimore, educating himself, then going to the brutal slave owner and just breaking his spirit. today, Frederick Douglass is one of the greatest speakers. He's a great inspiration, and you reading his speech, you know, you can just see what it was like in that time and how he tried changing the world. And he definitely inspired many of the people today that are speakers for racial equality